Are you ready to create a life you crave? Let's spin that doom loop of negativity into an upward success cycle and start living lucky.
Good morning.
I'm Jana.
I'm Jason.
And we are living lucky.
You are too.
We are back in America in hot Florida.
And we are talking about anxiety.
Holy moly, I have noticed there are so many anxious people out there.
Yeah, I have too, and occasionally I've been one of them.
I know. Me too. I was actually in an energy retreat today, and I was just on virtually. However, there was one person that didn't have their sound muted.
That's funny.
And they started yelling at their husband about an Amazon package. Her name was Bonnie. On the
Was his name Clyde?
Now, I don't know, but she started yelling at her husband about this Amazon package. And I am telling you, this is in the middle of a meditation, an energy retreat in Sedona, Arizona. So there's 180 people online. There's people in the room. Everybody's listening to music in such a zen state. And as soon as this woman doesn't have her mute on, all of a sudden people start coming out of the woodworks on the chat, and there started being some really negative things. I mean, these are people who are all about love and bliss and good vibrations. And all of a sudden they're like, shut your effing mic off, Bonnie.
Let him get his GD sex toys.
Bonnie, we hear about your Amazon package. You're ruining my meditation. And I'm telling you, anxiety.
They're being influenced by the outside world.
Frenetic energy. Chaos. And we had worked this was a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday retreat where we were releasing all of those feelings. And in 1 second, a snap of the fingers,
a delivery of the Amazon package.
People switched. It was like a switch went off in their bodies, and they went from those good vibrations to, God damn it, Bonnie. It was...
Your package has arrived.
It was crazy.
Your anxiety is here.
And here's
That's
the thing.
how quickly anxiety comes on.
Yes. And when you're in it, I mean, people were like, start the meditation over. I didn't hear the instructions because Bonnie was talking. And people were
Flip that switch.
mad. They wanted their money back. They wanted it to, they wanted other people to feel the way they were feeling.
Burn Bonnie at the stake.
Yes. But they didn't want
Not fair.
They didn't want to feel anxious alone. So it was like they started pulling down the whole group.
Well, energy is contagious.
Yes.
And we talk about this. And one of the things is that we talk about often is that when energy is contagious is recognize that energetic state and that feeling that you have.
I'm telling you, almost everything we talk about, every single podcast, our first step is to
be aware.
Yeah. Every behavioral change starts with awareness.
And is it serving me? Is it leading me to where I want to go? Or is it taking me away from, is it anchoring me to the place I was?
Because I'm telling you, worry and anxiety, those are fear-based emotions. And when you feel fear-based emotion, fear is a natural emotion. There are no bad emotions. And fear is a very quick emotion. When you feel fear, you should feel it and then it should pass after you process what's happening. It's one of those that you feel it and then it passes. It's your body's way of protecting you. However, we live in it.
Yeah, we allow ourselves to just hang on to it.
And so anxiety, worry, that's wasted energy.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of our episode a couple episodes ago about me in the airport.
Right? Because you got stuck in it.
I laugh about it now.
We both do.
Because I should have just danced.
Well, here's the thing, is Jason is the most laid back, happy-go-lucky guy. In fact, in our business, I'm the one that needs certainty. I need answers. I am not one to love this. I don't know where we're going exactly, but let's just enjoy the journey.
Well, even most people look at me and they say they think that I'm the organized person. They think that I'm the laid back, easygoing, like they have all these characteristics that they label me with. And they don't see the moments that I have anxiety, that I have uncertainty, that like the worry. Like they don't see.
We're all human.
We're all human and we all experience these things. It's just when do we become aware of it? And when do we say, what is this showing me? And what is it? How can I process it and see where I want to go with it?
Okay, so that's where I want to go next, is because if you are a person who is experiencing any kind of anxiety or worry, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening? Let's ask better questions. What is this teaching me? What am I to learn in this process? Every emotion or challenge that we face, it's part of our spiritual curriculum. And if we can just stop and be aware, okay, I'm feeling worry right now. I'm feeling anxiety. What is this communicating with me?
Yes.
What is my soul really trying to say to me? Am I right or am I right?
Because we have these lessons that come back over and over and over again. And we're either going to learn them now or we're going to keep repeating that lesson. It's almost like third grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't score well, if you don't pass the test, you're going to go back and do third grade again.
Oh, I know. Please. That was always like, oh God.
And then there's more quote unquote anxiety. And you just get to get a deeper experience of it the next time around.
Speaking of deeper, I was on Instagram, which I'm rarely on, but I happened to be on it. And I saw this guru that I follow, and he was talking about oceans. And at the top of the ocean, you see all the waves and you see them, clashing in and the tide comes in and then it goes out. And if there's a boat on there, it's rocking, going up and down. And it's very rocky.
It's chaotic.
It is. I mean,
You got
if you
all
really,
the outside forces affecting the top of the
you
ocean.
really watch the top of the ocean, and it can be an anxious place. It really can, because you're out in the middle of nowhere.
It's rough. It's wavy.
However, if you go down deeper, down to the source, if you start getting curious about, okay, what's underneath this? What is underneath all of this?
Frenetic energy.
Thank you. I've already used that word out many times, but thank you.
It's a good descriptor.
If you dive deeper, you start feeling the calm and the stillness. If you get to the source of it. Am I right?
Yeah. I remember back just thinking of this analogy when we first got our scuba gear. I would feel all this anxiety and this the noise of the world. And you would come home from work, and I would be at the bottom of our pool.
Yes.
In my scuba gear.
Because you loved it. You loved it.
It was quiet and it was still. Now this isn't the emotional stillness that we're talking about, but it was my way of getting to silence. It was kind of like a meditative state where I could go down and all I would hear is the breathing of the respirator, or whatever it's called, the aerator.
Regulator.
The regulator, thank you.
Thank you, Sheila.
And I would just go down to the bottom of the pool and I would hear the in of the breath, the out of the breath. And that's all I would hear. And I would be able to just kind of be there with the simple thoughts. And it would allow me to just think about the things that I wanted and kind of plan things out, which were very simple. Like, it wasn't a meticulous, wonderful plan, but it allowed me to cut through all the noise, release all the anxiety, all the stress of the day, and allow for peace and serenity.
Yes.
And this is,
and when you get to that place, when you go deep within, you start realizing, I am perfectly fine right now, okay, in this moment. And that's when you can release the anxiety, the worry, and you understand I am safe.
And we can do this without having to don a bunch of scuba gear and jump into the bottom of our own pool.
You don't need to be carrying scuba gear through the airport.
We do this by asking better questions about situations that we're in. We do this by saying, okay, this is what's happening. This is the experience outside of me. What is it meaning for me? And then I go within myself and say, what is the spiritual curriculum that I am experiencing right now and that I'm learning through?
Yes. What is this teaching me?
So what is this teaching me?
What is the lesson?
How am I growing myself into the next better version of me? And what is this growing me out of and into?
Yeah, I like that.
And that's a beautiful way of not being in the experience, but being the objective observer of the experience.
It allows you to rise above it.
Yes.
So like when everyone in the chat was yelling at Bonnie for having her microphone on, she couldn't hear what they were saying, and she just kept yelling at her husband. It allows people who are rising above that to just enjoy the meditation.
Yeah. That Bonnie has nothing to do with me. Like Bonnie's situation is Bonnie's situation. I'm here. I'm in an energetic state. I'm here. Like I'm present in this moment.
Yes. Although, can I just tell you something? I really had to hold myself back. I almost messaged Bonnie after all of this was over, and I wanted to say, so what happened with the Amazon package?
God, let me get up in that a little bit.
Yes, rise above it. Rise above it. And the way you do that is to communicate with it. Communicate with your emotions. And I know that sounds so crazy, but if you start communicating with it and if you become curious, it's like if you're in a fight with someone, and instead of fighting back, if you come at it with curiosity, hey, what's happening here? What are you feeling? And
I love that you said communicate with it instead of ignore it, because I was a big ignorer.
Yes.
And if you ignore it, it just gets louder.
It not only gets louder, but eventually in your life, it's going to pop. It's like the big zit. Eventually, it's going to come out and...
Or you might think it shuts up, but it doesn't.
It's like
it turns into something else. It turns into something more fierce and more angry.
It might turn into rage is what it might turn into.
And just acknowledging it, communicating with it, and thanking it for showing up.
Thank you, worry. Thank you, anxiety.
You're showing me something that I need to notice. And that's where you get to be aware of it.
That I like to be in control, and right now I'm a little bit outside that control zone. And so I need to lean on my faith and my trust.
And let go of some of that control.
Yes.
And realize that, you know what? Sometimes things aren't in my control. And if I can let go of some of that control, I will realize that things work out anyway.
And we can just dance.
And it would have been more pleasant for my experience if I had realized that sooner. And then I could have enjoyed the whole experience instead of trying to control the whole experience.
I hope you got something out of this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Keep living lucky.
Bye-bye. If the idea of living lucky appeals to you, visit us at startlivinglucky.com.